Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Hi, this is Peter Van der Meulen with Firefast Survival Gear, and you are listening to the Dr. Sky Experience. And a real experience it truly is.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dr. Sky Experience. Proudly here on Talk Radio 77 WABC out of New York, around the world, and who knows where else out in the universe. We simply say the crown jewel of radio, the iconic Talk Radio 77 WABC, and we appreciate you today tuning into the Dr. Sky Experience. You too can find out so much more about the Dr. Sky Experience, not only by listening to these podcasts, but also, ladies and gentlemen, going to our blog, which is located simply at wabcradio.com. You know, we talk about American exceptionalism on this particular program and ways to always refuse to be a victim, because a victim, in our opinion, is simply someone with no options. Always refuse to be a victim, fight back legally and responsibly, and in these somewhat troubling times, yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, need to be prepared for even the most amazing contingencies that can happen out there so you can survive. And today, just a few minutes, we'll be introducing a very special guest, Peter Van der Meulen, a company called Firefast Survival Gear. What say them? Well, we'll tell you a little bit about this, but I'll put it in perspective about why people need to be prepared. In one way or another, we're all seeking to survive. Our society collapses, then survival reverts to the most basic level. Food, shelter, and protection. Making a fire is essential to all three categories. Cooking food, warming a shelter, and any number of ways fire can be used to protect, such as signal fires, wild animal attacks, etc. So life without fire becomes difficult to sustain. Thus the need for a reliable method of starting a fire. And we're not trying to scare anybody on this program into thinking our civil society will end tomorrow. Our purpose here is to provide each and every one of you, ladies and gentlemen, with options. And talking about that, let's talk about small business in America. Well, how did this company begin? We'll find out in just a moment. But here, as we talk about it, they began as a classic mom-and-pop shop. They started from nothing, developed on a shoestring budget, began to add employees, and evolved into what we are today. And that is what they are today, a true made-in-America story. And here to tell us the rest and some fine details about why you need this particular product in your Go Gear when you're out there, out in the outback, or just everyday life. We welcome Peter Van der Meulen of Firefast Survival Gear. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to explain what we do.
Well, I appreciate your time. And, for the longest time, I mentioned to you and your wife when we were talking a long time ago, as we've been many times visiting the Crossroads of the West Gun shows out there in Arizona as you traveled there. I always tell people on our radio shows that, they always need to be prepared. And that's the old Boy Scout adage, always be prepared. But when I came across your booth there, I was quite impressed because I've been looking at and finding out no success by finding out these very inexpensive and very seriously lack of quality products when it comes to being able to, start a fire when you need one out in the outback. So tell us about the company, tell us about the products, because I understand we're going to get into a little discussion here about magnesium, and the kind of magnesium that you procure is something that makes this product very special. So how did you get started? This is interesting.
Well, it was about 7 years ago, and my wife and I had ended off another business, and we were looking for other things to do. And I don't know, as a young child, some of us are interested in fire, and I was as well. Not that I ever committed arson or anything, but I just liked it, enjoyed it, and liked to start fires. And I observed somebody else manufacturing a product that was a fire starter for camping and survival purposes. And I discussed this with my wife for quite some time, and we decided that we could manufacture a better product along that line. And so we set out on a process of research, and the magnesium is an important element, but I guess the most important element of our fire starter is the ferrocerium, which is earth, metal, and iron. And we actually located the original manufacturer of ferrocerium.
Oh.
And they're in Austria, not Australia, but Austria near Germany.
Austria, yes.
Yeah. And we buy our products from them, I mean, in terms of the ferrocerium itself. And in comparison to everything else on the market, the flint that I buy is 96% ferrocerium, and basically the rest of the market uses product manufactured in China, and it's not really ferrocerium at all. They use such a tiny fraction of rare earth metal. I think about 16% of their ferro rod is rare earth, and mine is 76% rare earth. And ferrocerium, of course, is made up of rare earth and iron. And so when you combine those two, it makes 96% in my product. And in the Chinese product, it's less than 30%. And so,
wow. That's amazing. And, if you look at the periodic table, I know you know this better than anybody, magnesium checks in as number 12 on the periodic table. But it's interesting. I've been around a lot of machine shops in my life, and maybe you have too. And we've seen people always have a cautionary tale about drilling into, let's say an aerospace company is doing a block of magnesium. And when they spin that drill, right, Peter, too fast, what happens? They can ignite that piece of magnesium, and you simply can't put it out. So this is a very magical piece of material. I wonder where its origin is. I mean, we can go back to time and space. They say in stars, magnesium is produced from the after of that of supernova. But the point is, tell us about magnesium, because it's so amazing. Because if you use this product to start a fire, and you're a high-quality one, this is going to work every time. And let's say you're out in the middle of a blizzard or a big windstorm or a big downpour in a hurricane. Yours is going to yours is going to work all the time and every time. And the good news, I love it, it's made in the USA. That's a big plus.
Yes. We do all the manufacturing in-house here. And the magnesium we use is 97% pure. There's 3% other impurities in there, actually, just to make it stronger and so forth. And when it gets produced, it has to have a couple of those impurities in it, or else it won't come out like a smooth rod. It ripples without the other impurities in it, and so that's why we get it slightly alloyed. But it's only 3%. And magnesium is interesting. It burns at 4,500 degrees.
Wow.
And so with our fire starter, we include a 3/4 inch long, 3/4 inch in diameter magnesium rod. It's and 3 3/4 inches. Mm-hmm. 3 inches are exposed above the wooden handle, which it's mounted in, and 3/4 of an inch is mounted into the handle itself. But the great thing about it is when you use our ferro rod, our ferrocerium, if you've got dry tinder, there's no need to use the magnesium whatsoever, because you can light the fire directly from sparks generated from the ferrocerium rod. Now, if you're having trouble getting your fire lit, and what you were talking about is adverse weather conditions,
right?
You shave magnesium directly from the magnesium rod that's on the back side of the ferro rod, mm-hmm. and you can use that to generate a 4,500 degree burst of heat, which will help you get your fire lit in extreme weather conditions.
Wow. So that's amazing. And let's go back to the survival aspect of this. As the Dr. Sky business and what we do, not only in broadcast, but I did mention this to you and your wife. We go out there. I'm just letting the listeners know about this. We do so many outdoor night events with telescopes out in the outback. And a lot of people come out there. They don't have those $200, $300, $500 million, RVs. So they're actually boondogging out there, and they're camping. Maybe just some people have a small tent or a sleeping bag or a hammock. And they do want to start a fire, legitimately, and do it safely. and the proper procedure, and we could go through that. I mean, you want to have a rock base around it so that the fire can't escape. But the more important thing is when you're out there and you can't rely on just a little book of matches or something like that, that would be ridiculous. So take us down this path. I mean, this is something to describe the process. So you have, let's say, the Trekker in your hand, one of the models that you sell, and we're looking at that on your website, which, of course, is fire-fast.com, www.fire-fast.com. Describe the procedure. I mean, it may sound so simple to people, but starting a legitimate fire, if you're out there for survival needs, or even if you want to do what? Marshmallows and s'mores, this is something that everybody needs to have in their go bag, right?
That's your money saying it's time for a McDonald's run. Because with new McValue at McDonald's, you get more than you expect. Like buy a 6-piece McNuggets and add a McChicken for just $1. Your money says let's go. Get more than you expect with new McValue. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value.
Exactly. Well, camping and survival, those are two separate endeavors, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, people will take cotton balls, Vaseline, dryer lint, tissue paper, and all sorts of things that actually help people ignite a fire more easily, right?
Yes.
Now, that's camping, because you can go home and you can pull more dryer lint out of your dryer and save it up and take it with you. But the survival is a different creature altogether.
Absolutely.
You don't have the support of the civil society to provide you with things on a constant basis. What I've done with my Trekker fire starter is, and as I explain to people when we do demonstrations at gun shows and trade shows, if you light one fire a day with my fire starter, 5 years later, you're still using the same tool.
Yeah.
And what it means is you have not had to rely on replenishing the other things that you would need to light a fire if you're camping, right?
Exactly.
And so, I mean, if you've got a lighter, you've got various different tools that make it very, very easy to light a fire. It's all well and good. You should use them. But what I like to have people do when they buy my product is when they do go camping is practice with this fire starter. It's easy to use in terms of tools of a similar kind,
Sure.
but it does take a little skill. But once you get the skill to use it quickly and easily, the whole point is if there is a disruption in the civil society, then you already have the skill with you under your belt. So to speak.
Right, you'll be probably the most popular person in your neighborhood if, God forbid, the lights go out and there's no electricity. And not to sound alarmist here, I just want to remind everybody in a happy way as we go on start the year 2023. You're listening to the Dr. Sky Experience here on Talk Radio 77 WABC. Out of New York City, around the world, and out into the cosmos, as we like to say, the crown jewel of radio, the iconic Talk Radio 77 WABC.
And we hope that you're enjoying the Dr. Sky Experience, heard exclusively here on Talk Radio 77 WABC, the crown jewel of radio, the iconic talk station, WABC, out of New York City and around the world. And just in case your travels take you to the West, we here on the Dr. Sky Experience support your Second Amendment rights. And who better to tell you than the good folks at the Crossroads Gun Shows? Yes, the Crossroads Gun Shows can be found at crossroadsgunshows.com. They, like many others out there, are in the fight to help preserve your Second Amendment rights. Give them a try today.
A very special guest today is Peter Meulen. He, of course, knows so much about this, about not only the survival mode, the camping mode, his product line, and his company, Firefast Survival Gear. Learn so much more about them, and I encourage you to go there, folks, because, for years we were doing this radio show called A Call to Rights, and the main mantra of the show, Peter, has and always will continue to be in my mind, what? Always refuse to be a victim. A victim is simply someone with no options. Fight back legally and responsibly. And how does that translate in today's interview? Always be prepared, and it's so important. But I wanted to kind of ask you something else as we go on here. We talk about this. We see the ability to start this fire as you need it. And here's an interesting thing. Maybe this is a minor observation by myself, but I've seen people have books of matches, and they didn't secure them properly. Let's say they have an RV, Where did they lay them? Let's say they're a smoker. Let's say they're not. They put them on the dashboard of the car. And that's ridiculous in my mind, because what happens? The magnification of that sun coming through the mirror and through the windshield, I should say, can even start a fire. So yours is totally inert. It doesn't have anything. You can't do anything unless you initiate the procedure. So there you go. I think that's a much better way to talk about safety. And yours, lasts a heck of a lot longer than a book of matches. Please continue.
Yes. I mean, if like I said, lighters, matches, and so forth, if people wish to use them, I have absolutely no objection to that at all. And sometimes it makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
But gaining the skill to use a fire starter, which gives you a long-term survival mechanism, it's an important thing. And it's not just from the viewpoint of, oh my goodness, if the whole civil society collapses, you have this. Of course. But it's like any camping experience. You learn new skills. You actually become more competent in life yourself. And so I actually enjoy going out into different wilderness environments myself and actually testing myself on how well I can light a fire in just about any condition.
Right. Well, this is interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a matter of enjoying the outdoors as well. And so you go out, you do it, and my wife and I basically are the principals of our company, and so we spend a great majority of our time just manufacturing product. But when we do get out, because we travel to a number of different locations quite regularly. Also, one time I was in Las Vegas, and if you know Las Vegas at all, there's a lot of just desert lots right in the middle of the city.
Absolutely. I go there just about every month, whether I want to or not, but that's a whole other story. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. And so we were going to do a show in Las Vegas, and at the convention center, they would not allow us to do live demonstrations of our fire starting ability with our Trekker fire starter. And so my wife and I went on to the local desert. Like, we didn't have to go very far because you didn't have to even go out of town. There's plenty of lots that looked just exactly the same before Vegas was developed at all. Mm-hmm. So we went out there, stripped up some grass and brush, and lit fires quickly. And we took video of that and showed the customers who came to the gun show how simple it was to light a fire with that fire starter with a demonstration on Las Vegas desert. And so,
wow.
Wherever it is that we go, if we can't do the live demonstration, we'll do something in the outdoors close to where the show is to demonstrate how easily usable our product is in a variety of different circumstances.
Well, not only do people need the product, but I think they need a good demonstration about, we already covered the survival concept of it, the actual camping side, and there's so many other uses for this product. But it's something interesting that I want to talk about here, and as you go into your blog, you have one of these particular blogs that's in there, emblazoned in your website, at the website, of course, fire-fast.com. And you know it well. It's yours. It's Unknown American Worker. And let me say this, before we tell people about this, and you describe it in detail, what I find fascinating here is American small business is what's built this country. And we talk about American exceptionalism here, Peter, and I mean every word I'm going to say here. It's not these giant corporations that are the ones that I'm, appealing to here. It's every mom and pop company out there that came up. Many of the folks that graduated from high school, maybe some of them didn't even graduate high school. Maybe some came from foreign countries and emigrated here the right way, the long-term procedure. And they came with $5 or 5 cents in their pocket. But the important thing about your blog here, and it's entitled, as you know, Unknown American Worker, talk about this because it's interesting. It's about some contractor named G.W. Ellis, where cement was laid in 1927, and the bottom line is what? That after 95 years, the quality and workmanship is still there. That's what we need. Quality products made here in America by people that obviously believe in their specialties that they have. And that's what I think America is all about. What say you? It's important to hear this.
Oh, I agree entirely. I've, for many, many years, I used to do trade shows and gun shows around the country. Mm-hmm. And we're more regional now than we were. But I would, every morning I would go jogging and I would look at the sidewalks as I went by, and they would have stamps of contractors in the cement.
Yes.
And what I noticed is, in the past, you go back to a subdivision made in the 60s or 50s or 40s, that the sidewalks were still in great shape. And you get into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and the cement is far more disrupted and broken up than it is in the 60s, 50s, and 40s.
Amen.
And what it means is the quality of workmanship has been declining. And outside my house is the stamp that you just referred to, G.W. Ellis, 1927. And you know Los Angeles, there's earthquakes all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these sidewalks have stood almost 100 years. And we are indebted to the people that made quality products. And all around us are examples of well-made things and poorly made things. And my own company, we spent the last year in improving, even as our costs were rising, on magnesium, ferrocerium, and wood, and the wood that we use in our handle.
Sure.
And even the paracord that we use to attach our striker, which creates the spark. All our product costs have gone up, but even during this time, we have been increasing the quality of our product. And even though we have less financial resources than we did a couple of years ago, it never blunted my commitment into making the highest quality product on the market.
Absolutely.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can even finish the bachelor's degree you started in 22 months for $20,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
Very well said. And I just want to remind everybody you're listening to the Dr. Sky Experience, and proud to be here with you, ladies and gentlemen, on Talk Radio 77 WABC out of New York City, around the world, and maybe even out into the universe. We call it the crown jewel of radio, the iconic talk radio station, 77 WABC. I'm Steve Cates with great guest here on the Dr. Sky Experience, as you're hearing today, Peter van der Meulen. He, of course, owns a company, very interesting company, small business, ladies and gentlemen, and proud to say it, Firefast Survival Gear. Check them out, fire-fast.com. And I want to mention something, too. You know, you've been given some awards here, and rightfully so, for the quality of this product, and we'll get into some of the items that you do sell. Trekker, this particular product that you make, is rated number 1 by Outdoor Life magazine. Talk about that honor. That's pretty cool.
Well, it was very interesting. Tim McWelsh, in 2019, he's a survival trainer in Virginia, and he wrote for Outdoor Life magazine for many years. And he came across our Firestarter in a very organic way. He was conducting his survival classes, and some of his students began to bring our Firestarter to his training camp. And of course, he'd never seen anything like us with the quality and the ease and ability of using our product to light fires with. And so the online version in, I believe, July of 2019 of Outdoor Life magazine, he writes an article. There's about 8 or 10 different fire starters that he has and owns himself, and rated us the number 1 fire starter. And what I find is oftentimes when I deal with survivalists and survival trainers, they all love our products, but sometimes when you get 1 to 10 lists, when we've all looked at those 1 to 10 lists.
Yes.
Unfortunately, some of those are dominated by basically companies that pay to have their position as the best fire starter out there, and you don't actually get a legitimate side-by-side comparison. And what was nice about Tim McWelsh is that he had no agenda, because he does survival training, and survival training is where the rubber hits the road. And so if your product doesn't work, no matter how much money you get paid to say how good it is, if it's not working, it's not working. And so he wrote an article which was just completely a complete comparison, and we came out number one. And I believe it's because we use the world's best products, and we're the most conscientious manufacturer and make a product that's going to last many, many years. And even if it sustains violent impacts, we'll still keep on working, won't fall apart, and gives you survival potential many, many years into the future. And even if you never actually have to use it for that purpose yourself, you can give it to your kids, and they'll still be able to use it because it'll still be a usable tool.
And Firefare Survival Care will be on their minds and their children down the line. From a small business, ladies and gentlemen, the seed grows, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. Very interesting guest here today. And I want to remind everybody there's something in the product line for everybody at every price point. So, no, if people are sitting there going, well, hey, if this is the top magnesium product in the world and all these other things, maybe this is just something that I can't even think about financially. Think differently, right? I mean, you do have a variety of products and something pretty much for everybody out there. And I encourage you to go to the website again, fire-fast.com. to learn so much. But what seems to be one of the better sellers right now? I mean, as you go through this past year, 2022.
Yeah, the best seller is hands down our Trekker. This is your survival grade fire starter. The next one down, and the Trekker is 5 ounces total weight. Mm-hmm. The one that a lot of campers use is called the camper lanyard. Right. That has 40 inches of paracord. You can wear it around your neck if you so choose. And it's 3 ounces total weight. And then we have an ultra backpacker's fire starter called the Firefly. And that is 1 3/4 ounces total weight.
Amazing.
A lot of the extreme backpackers won't ever take anything that's over 2 ounces. And so we made sure that did not breach the 2 ounce level. But one of the things we've done in the last year, as I said, we've increased the quality and performance of all our products. The Firefly is the one where we made the biggest change. Our flint is longer. It is slightly wider in diameter, and we doubled the size of the magnesium bar. And so I always liked the idea of having a backpacker-friendly or an extreme backpacker-friendly fire starter. And now it's far superior to the previous years now. And it's if you lit one fire a day and you're out backpacking, you should get 6 months worth of use out of the Firefly.
That's pretty darn good, folks. That's amazing. Compared to being out there. Imagine the foolishness. I mean, if you have nothing but simple matches, well, now that's why you're listening to this particular interview on the Dr. Sky Experience, and now you know better. So simply this, whether you're glamping, Peter, in the backyard, or you're climbing Mount Everest, or somewhere in between, this company has something to offer you. And especially in these troubling times, I don't want to be negative here, but it's always something. I've been a firearm instructor, Peter, for so many years here, and I've had so many people come into my classes, and obviously doing everything from concealed carry, blah, blah, blah. We always talk about what people need in a go bag. And obviously, for those out there that don't know what a go bag is, let's say, in the worst of situations, right, Peter? I'm not being alarmist at all. There should be in everybody's, home, batteries, a source of, light, heat, whatever, and obviously a way to start fire if you needed to be outside and you couldn't do anything. Some food rations and something to survive with for a period of what? I mean, I've heard different estimates. I'm not a survivalist expert, but I've heard anywhere from, 2 or 3 days if you had to just boogie out of your house immediately. Wouldn't that be sad? But tell us about that. I mean, what do you think the average person needs if they're going to have a go bag? What do they need to have provisions for? Just a couple of days in the least, right?
Right. You have to have something that will give you at least a minimum level of survivability. And I would think at least a week.
Oh, yeah.
Now, and it's not that there would be necessary, but if you've got more than a week's worth of supplies, it's going to be difficult to transport, especially if you have to, get out. And so if you have definitely a week's worth of sustainable supplies with you before you have to start living off the land, then, you've got a chance to get yourself organized.
Sure.
And with our fire starters, because we're committed to the quality of them, we test them in many different ways. One of the ways I tested one of my fire starters, I placed it in a block of ice for 3 weeks.
Wow.
I then threw it off a 30-foot cliff, knocked off the rest of the ice, and lit a fire in 30 seconds.
Wow.
And with the Trekker, we placed it in a tub of water for 4 days. I pull it out, wipe it on my jeans, and light a fire in 30 seconds.
Amazing. So there's durability and quality and workmanship. But, I'm not a genius in marketing logos and mottos and stuff like that, or slogans. But I think I came up with one for your company, and don't tell me that somebody else has beat me to the punchline. I would say it this way: Fire Fast Survival Gear, just simply keep up the fire. How about that one?
There we go. keep the home fires burning even away from home, right?
There you go. Peter, I want to thank you for being part of this radio show and the Dr. Sky experience here. My whole dream a long time ago as a New Yorker was always listening to this iconic radio station, 77 WABC. They're well on the air for well over 100 years. It's amazing. It's one of America's longest-lived radio stations with great talent. So I'm privileged and honored to be at least part of this team. And I have to thank so many of the people like John Katzimatidis, the owner of WABC, of course, and so many others. But even more so, it's people like yourself that help make up this experience. From all walks of life, ladies and gentlemen, we normally talk the subjects of astronomy, space, aviation, and weather. We have many celebrity guests in the mix here. American exceptionalism, I'll never stop talking about that. A salute to our veterans, first responders, and the people who work in the hospitals, obviously, in these very difficult times. So, Peter, I want to thank you. And again, you get the last word. Anything you did want to mention that I didn't even have a time or a chance to ask, please go right for it.
Well, the only thing I have to say about it is that I appreciate the opportunity to let people know about our product.
Sure.
We're committed to making the highest quality product that you can get on the market. There's nobody who makes anything even vaguely as easy to use or as durable as what we make. And so if you buy our product, you can test it yourself, and you can be safe and secure in the fact that you will be able to light a fire, even if you're not a professional and you haven't had any instruction whatsoever. You can muddle your way through and get a fire lit with our product. We've had complete novices do that.
No, absolutely. And Peter, finally, from me, I hope that if it's not already happened, that some of these adventurers that climb these mountains like Mount Everest at base camp, maybe they already have this in their kit, and I hope that if they don't, they're listening to this interview right now. So thank you for your time. Stay with us as we go to our break here, but I do appreciate your time. Again, that's Peter van der Meulen. He's the owner with his lovely wife, Fire Fast Survival Gear. Check them on the World Wide Web, and also you can find them more on Facebook and YouTube for some interesting videos, but their website, www.fire-fast.com. This concludes this exciting edition, as you folks tell us, the Dr. Sky Experience, here on Talk Radio 77 WABC, as we say it, the crown jewel of radio. See you next time with more interesting guests as we continue to move into the new year, 2023. Thank you so much, Peter, for spending time with us and educating us on something that we really need to use and have in our bag of tricks. Thank you so much.
Thank you.